गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरा गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Thank you. As I said, the life which we all have is very, very interesting. How many of you who is sitting down here, you have a very interesting life? I reckon most of you have a very wonderful life, interesting life, the best life of all the lives. How many of you know that your lives are many other lives before? How many of you feel that you will have other lives after? No one knows, which is great. So you are already a seeker. You are already qualified to understand the power of Ashtavakra Gita. Life is a journey, as I say. It is to be completed. It is to be finished. It has been said that all beings on this earth, on this planet, are all on a journey. First one, the person who is walking. Everyone on this earth is walking. And they are walking in many different directions, in many different roads. Whichever way they are walking, they are just walking. Isn't that true? Every one of us, we are walking. Second type of people, they are walking, but they are using their intellect. They are walking with their intellect, means they know where they are going and where they are not going. But sometimes that type of walking which they are doing, it doesn't make any sense. But they say that they are using their common sense, which is they are using their intellect, and they are walking. The third type of beings or people are walking using their intellect, and at the same time they're using their heart, right? There are three different types of people who are walking on this earth. One is just walking. Wherever their life takes them, they just keep on going. Second type of people, they are using their buddhi, their intellect. And they are just knowing where to go, where not to go. They're using the power of discrimination. The third type of person is walking with their intellect, but they are using that intellect connected with their heart, with their soul. Their soul is looking for something beyond just walking and understanding. So there are three different types of journey which we are all on. So this whole process of Ashtavakra Gita, which we are going to process from tonight, up till whenever we will be fully enlightened and realized, as I say, we won't know that we are enlightened or realized. Somebody else will know. But if you keep on going and telling the whole world, I'm enlightened and realized, you'll be taken somewhere to be treated. So just don't say anything about you are enlightened or you are not enlightened, because an enlightened being, a self-realized being, they don't say anything. Only what they do is answers, answers, answers. They never question. It's all beautiful smiles. That's the whole power of a being who is happy, a content being. Before we start the journey, we need to understand few things about the journey and the master within ourselves. As we will be traveling, we will need to go deeper and deeper within ourselves, right? As we are traveling now, we have to go more deeper and deeper within ourselves, right? What I mean by that is that traveling outside of your body is great, because you can entertain your mind so much, right? We can think a lot by traveling outside of your body. And we feel so much happiness out of it. But do you think those happiness stays with you permanently? It might, for a certain time, for a certain years. But after a certain time, that outside traveling will force you to travel within. So this whole Ashtavakra Gita is all about traveling within, right? It is not that you need to leave the world, but you need to be in the world, yet you got to be connected with the world, yet you got to be free from the world. So this whole process about learning Atma Gyan is about learning the power of the soul within. Type of travelers. There are so many different type of travelers which we have in this world, right? As I said, walking with intellect and with the intellect and heart, right? Type of travelers. Why we are traveling? We all have to travel, right? So the first type of traveling which we do, we are all traveling in this world looking for happiness, right? The first type of travelers. They are looking for happiness. Aren't you looking for happiness? Yes. If you are stuck with only looking for happiness of the outside world, you are a sansari, means you are a worldly person. All what you need is buying a set of cars, having a nice house, having lots and lots of friends, having lots and lots of games. Everything is about the world. Everything which we want to look for, it is all about the things which is connected with the world. The first type of travelers are called samskari or sansari. There are second type of travelers. The second type of travelers are the travelers we are looking for happiness outside and inside, but more on inside, right? You ask yourself, do you like to be happy outside? If you get something from outside, you become very, very happy. But when that happiness, you think about that things which you have received from outside, when you think about it, you get happy again. That is also a type of traveling which we do, and that type of traveling is only for those who are a sannyasi. Sannyasi means they are connected with the world, but at the same time they are disconnected with the world. Whenever they are happy, they are happy. Like when they think of something good, they become happy and being content, and they are called sannyasis, right? In those days, sannyasis used to leave home and used to go away, separate from their family and just go and live in the forest. What Baba says, the person who lives in the forest, they go for rest only. They are not going for looking for the God within. They are only going for a rest. And after that, when they go into the forest, what they are thinking about their home. What is the point? It is not a life of a sannyasi. A great life of a sannyasi is when a sannyasi, a traveler, which stays in the home and live inside the home, yet getting caught up into the world, yet getting caught up all sorts of dramas, but still they are detached from the world. They are true sannyasis. So that is second type of travelers which we are. You know what you are, right? Happiness in and out. The third type of travelers are travelers, they are being in Ananda all that time. Ananda means they are always in bliss. And whatever comes across to them, they are just content. They don't make any judgments. Everything is just perfect as how it is. What are those type of people called? They are called Jnanis. Jnani means the soul which can be connected with everything. So if you are sitting down in the temple, you are content. If you are sitting in a party, you are content. You are going to places where there is worship, you are content. There is big dancing and drama, you are content. You are a jnani, you just don't question anything. All what you do is what you are practicing is the life living to the fullest. So there are three types of people who are on this earth. One, only looking for samskari, means all the happiness is outside. Second, happiness within and outside. Third is one who is always content. No matter wherever they are just being content. So that is the third type of people, third type of travelers in this world. The whole journey is all about being and living the life to the fullest. That's why we practice one of the things which we have been practicing for the last 2-3 years, which is you being a pure soul. And I've been telling everyone and I've been speaking about being pure soul. Remind yourself over and over again that I'm just a pure soul living in this body. In this body is prana, in the prana is mind, in the mind is knowledge, in the knowledge is my bliss. And bliss I am. That is a power of a true jnani. That is the food for the true jnani, true being who actually enjoys the life to the fullest, right? That's why we have been practicing in last few weeks, or 2 weeks or 1 week ago, we did a I Pure Soul refresher course, where we actually connected being the driver of this physical body. How many of you still remember, and how many of you are practicing being a pure soul? Accepting things as how it goes, right? That's the whole process of being I Pure Soul. So all what we need is fully understand everything from this moment till the next moment. Everything which we are going to study in the now, you need to take it with full understanding, with full acceptance. And that's what Ashtavakra Gita is all about, acceptance. We'll go even further as we go along. To understand this journey, what we need is we need to understand the life as how it is, and we need to let go of all those things which is not important in our life. So we need to leave all the preconceived emotions and ideas away. When we want to study Ashtavakra Gita, all what we need to let go is all the samskaras which we are holding on to. Where does the samskaras come from? Every human being. How many of you know? Where do we get the samskaras from?
From our parents.
Yeah. First, we are getting our samskaras from our past life, as they say. What happened yesterday? It comes into now. Second, we have got the preconceived ideas of our parents. That's the second type, how the samskaras has been built in us. Third type is the country where we have come from. You know, we are all connected with the type of food which we eat, the type of living which we have, the type of way of life which we have from our country. We have got those preconceived ideas, right? Next one, what is the fourth one? one I have created since I have known my body. If you think about it, since what age do you start to know that you are a body? At the age of 5. You look at the babies. They don't know that they are the body. They just happy-go-lucky. Huh? But as soon as they come to the age of 5, it has been said that the ego starts to develop at the age of 5. Once you start to know your body, you are so much connected only to your body. So that's how the ego starts. So whatever you have created since the age of 5 till now, that is the 4th type of samskara. And the 5th type of samskara is all about when you come under a master, or you are looking or searching, or the master searches for you, guru searches for you and finds you as a great soul and wants to give you some sort of knowledge so that you can get enlightened, get realized, or get touched with reality and be happy and content. So when something comes up into your life, you are always looking for someone who guides you. Your guide comes. So it is the guide you got some samskaras of your guide as well. You know, the guru, the master. So these are the 5 values which we have in our life, everyone. Or 5 way of living, samskaras, 5 habits, 5 impressions. Do you have those? Ashtavakra, what he says, it's all good. Everything is good. He never says nothing is not good or nothing is bad. All what he says, Ashtavakra, is everything is just perfect as how it is. What we are going to learn during this time, Ashtavakra Gita, Samhita classes, what we will learn, how he actually gave that teachings to the Jnani, Raja Janaka, King Janaka, about self-realization. The most of the time we know everything, yet we know nothing, and it is also great according to Ashtavakra Gita. Sometimes we say to ourselves, we know everything, right? Most of us would think that I understand life. So you are sitting down here in front of me, mind is talking over and over with you. Huh? I know what he's talking about. I've already read about it. I've heard about it. Isn't that all going in your head? Some of you? I heard about what he's talking about. I've already read about Ashtavakra Gita. Oh, it was on the Google. I can go and find it out. I know what he's going to talk about. Right? This is what is going to process in you in the time of Ashtavakra Gita, because your judgment is all about what you have known within yourself and what are you going to hear and what you are going to see. Our life is done like that. All what is in the memory. So Ashtavakra teaches us to shun all those behavior and those patterns in our life. Nothing is worthwhile remembering. The process about Ashtavakra Gita, you need to be totally thoughtless. Ashtavakra teaches us to be totally thoughtless. You know, in meditation, we say when we are in deep meditation, what happens within ourselves? We are thinking and thinking, or some thoughts is disturbing you, or something you cannot settle within yourself. But when you practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice, a time will come, nothing will disturb you. All what you are going to be is become thoughtless and totally free from all sorts of worries, tension, thinking, judgment. All these things will go away. Right? So this is what we are going to learn in this Ashtavakra Gita. Most of you would think that I understand everything about life. We always say I have heard from many saints, gurus, great Mahatmas, great beings, read many books, as I say. I know what is the best for me. You know, sometimes when you go to a temple and you ask your husband, please come with me. Oh, you going there for what? You're going to go and check out who's got the nicest dress. I already know it. I don't need to go. Sometimes, when you are asking your partners, your families, your children, your kids to come with you, but they are already saying, I don't need to go because I know already. Ashtavakra doesn't teach you that. Ashtavakra says even that is good, what they are saying. Right? I'm not telling you to say, okay, stay home. But what Ashtavakra is saying, when we go deeper and deeper into all those shlokas, it will tell you why he says that. Okay? And that's what a Brahma Jnani, a Atma Jnani, a true Jnani would like to learn. Because life is full of learning. Our life is all about seeing things and hearing things at the moment. Right? At the moment you are just seeing and hearing. Seeing and hearing. Seeing and hearing. Right? These are the two things which is. Most of the time we know everything. Right? Most of the time we know everything. If you think about life, there are two major types of problems which we all have. Take a deep breath in. Think of a problem. Which one? That's true. Which one? Two types of problems we have in life, right? There are many problems, but there are two major problems which I say we have in our life. One is called subjective problems. Anything, day-to-day issues. Every day we have some sort of issues, day-to-day issues. I have a problem, you have a problem, she has a problem, they have a problem. Problem. It's all about some sort of subject. We discuss things about different subjects, right? So, subjective problems, subjective issues. The second type of problem which most of us have is the problem with each and every being which they have it all the time, which is called fundamental problem, right? Which is the problem for rich people and the problem also for the poor people. There are two different types of problems. Subjective problems means social problems. Second one is the problem which everyone which goes through, which is fundamental. It's connected with your daily thinking. Every one of us. If we have a good headache, what is it? What type of problem is that? If you are hungry, you can make it either way. So which problem you can relate it to yourself? So even a rich person gets headache, a poor person gets headache as well. Like I'm just giving an example, fundamental problem. All what we see is a life is full of problems and problems and problems. You must be thinking, why is not talking about Ashtavakra? This is Ashtavakra talking. Everything is just perfect is how it is. Brahma Gyan. Everything is just perfect. Right? That's what Ashtavakra is saying. What are the problems we are going through? Some fundamental issues we go through moment to moment daily. What are they? Right? Sometimes we feel that we are lacking something in life. How many of you think that you are lacking something in your life? अगर हम यहाँ बैठे हैं ना, हर लोग बैठे हैं, everyone we are sitting down. Think about it. Are you lacking something in your life? You are. That is fundamental problem. You always feel that I'm lacking something in my life. It's a fundamental problem. Second type of problem, what we are going through, is the sense of loneliness. How many of you are married, you've got children, you've got a big mansion, you've got cars, you've got all the things that you have in life, but you are feeling lonely? How many of you feel that way? Wow, great. I'm sitting in front of great Gyanis. You don't need to be here. Still we are looking for some sort of thing because we feel that I'm alone, right? That is loneliness, sense of loneliness. third type of lacking which we have, incompleteness. How many of you feel incomplete? You feel that you are incomplete, don't you? Huh? That is the sense of incompleteness, something which is, it's not full in me, right? Sense of limitations. How many of you are strict in life? So much of restrictions which is given to us. We have to follow all sorts of rules and regulations. I will hear stories of people when they come here and talk to me on Thursday. So much of life's restriction. You have to listen to this, listen to that, listen to that. So much limitations you have. You can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. So much limitations. You know, if you think about it, in life that is all about, it is about fundamental problems. We are going through so much of these issues. Isn't that true? Right? And then the greatest one, which everyone has it. Which one is that one?
Ignorance.
The sense of fear. And the greatest one with the sense of fear is the fear of death. Isn't that true? How many of you are not scared of death? How many of you are not having any fear of death? Everyone has that fear of death. You know, we are sitting down here with so nice and having a nice satsang. A gunman comes and stands in front of you. What will you do? Our adrenaline will go so fast. That's the fear which is deep down inside of us, sitting inside of us. That is the greatest fear which every one of us has got it. Why do we have fear? Because we are connected only with the body and our thoughts. Right? If you are living as a body, if you are living as a thought, obviously we will have all these senses which will be very, very active within us. The sense of lacking things in life, the sense of loneliness, the sense of incompleteness, the sense of limitations, the sense of fear. And what these whole lacking does to you makes you weak, makes you restless. So the main thing which we all are is we have got so much of restlessness in our life. And now you are sitting down here. Are you feeling great? Aren't you? Yeah? You're feeling very relaxed. Aren't you? How many are feeling agitated? How many of you are feeling you just want to get up and just leave? It all depends on your state of mind. It's state of being where you are at the moment, in the now. So your restlessness is something which we are going to work during this time of Ashtavakra Gita. How to get rid of this restlessness life which we all have. Okay? You happy? So far, so good?
Yes.
Wonderful. Take a deep breath in and out. Close your eyes and smile for a little bit. Force yourself to smile. Because when you smile, I say, no negative thoughts come and take over you. All what you are being the happy self in the now. That is the beauty, the power of this smiling meditation. Keep on smiling and relaxing. Smiling and relaxing. I've taken this beautiful moment for myself. This is the only body I can travel with. And I'm so happy that I have traveled all the way from my beautiful space and I've come to this another divine space where I can get in touch with my divinity even more and much better way, with all sorts of other beautiful souls. I'm very glad, I'm very happy, I'm very peaceful in the now. Take a deep breath in, beautiful gentle smile, and whenever you are ready, you can just open your eyes. Wonderful. Okay, now, if you think about it, everyone, ask yourself, do I exist in this body, or this body exists in me? Ask yourself. Do I exist in this universe, or the universe is existing in me? Ask yourself. So these are the questions we need to ask yourself over and over again, over and over again, over and over. Whenever you have time, just separate yourself from yourself to enjoy yourself. Separate yourself from yourself to ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? Who is it which is seeing? Who is it which is hearing? Who is it which is smelling? Who is it which is eating? You need to ask yourself. When you ask yourself, you yourself will answer your own questions. And that is the power of a seeker. A sannyasi always asks questions, right? We always ask questions, and we are always asking questions from outside. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat. As I have said before about Bhagavatam, now we get into Ashtavakra. Bhagavatam teaches you on duality, whereas Ashtavakra mostly talks on oneness. Mostly, nearly every time he's talking about Ashtavakra. This is what Ashtavakra Gita teaches us. He says that there are three types of people, as we say. Right? There are three. What we have to learn, which I have already discussed with you before, there are people who are looking for happiness, which are sansari, worldly people. There are people who are sannyasis and the jnanis, the one who is always. So you ask yourself, what is it? So Ashtavakra teaches the difference, and it tells that everything is just perfect as how it is, right? It talks about truthfulness. Everything is just true, and one of the things which we always relate and always talk about is that Atma Satyam. I always say about Atma Satyam that soul is the ultimate truth. There is nothing else which is truth but soul, right? So that's why we do pranams to each other. We are doing pranams not only to the body, we are always doing pranams to each and every soul which we see each other, and we say Atma Satyam, right? So that is how we are relating, or this is how we greet. Our pure soul, so Punya Atma greets the other soul. So we say Atma Satyam. It speaks on truth, so it is true. Ashtavakra Samhita is all about understanding and not understanding, right? It talks all about facts. If you are a seeker, all you need to take Ashtavakra Gita seriously by listening and hearing over and over again, day after day after day, till the penny drops. That's what Ashtavakra is teaching us. We got to practice this daily. Every moment to moment we got to practice. And the time will come when the penny will drop, as I say. So daily practice is very, very important. What you practice in Ashtavakra? What do you practice? Acceptance. 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 One of the things which I really wanted to say in life, when we want to get rid of fear, only fear we should have in ourselves is the fear of God. Since we are talking in a mandir, we should have only fear of the Divine Master, who we are actually seeing him as our Master, our Guru, our God. We should only have that fear all the time. Fear of God. If you have that fear of God within and the fear of God outside of you, you will never have anything but acceptance in life. Because we don't have fear, what happens? We do all sorts of nonsense. No? We create lots of nonsense. And just to stop those nonsense, you should develop, or we should develop something which is in us, is that we got to develop the fear of God. Fear of the Master. Fear of your ultimate truth. The being within and the being which is outside of you. Fear of nature. We should accept and respect. Developing respect and acceptance is very, very important for a true Jnani. If you are a true Jnani, if you are a true seeker, if you really understand the power of being the true self, you got to accept life as how it is by respecting them. That is the duty of a true Jnani, respecting. Don't make any judgments. If you are a seeker, all you need to is to take Ashtavakra Gita seriously and read it over and over again, or listen to it over and over again. It will solve all the solutions to your problem. It all talks about Advaitya. In Ashtavakra Gita, it is an instruction for achieving self-realization. In Ashtavakra Gita, it's all about achieving, how to achieve self-realization. So it answers all your self-inquiry, right? Self-realization is the instructions which you achieved by getting engrossed into knowing about Ashtavakra Samhita. It shows the most direct path to self-realization, and we can achieve it in 3 steps here again, right? As I said, in listening to Katha, when listening to stories, we only sunna chahte hain. Then we are taking it in. And then we are taking it in, listening, taking in, listening, taking in, listening, taking in. What we do, and then finally we say, just ignore it. Oh, whatever. And we sleep without it. Right? With it. But in Ashtavakra Gita, what it tells you, instead of sleeping, what we need to do, we need to think more and more and more. In Ashtavakra Gita, first thing you need to hear. सुनने के लिए हम आते हैं. We need to hear. It's very important. We need to read. Then we need to Shravan. We need to reflect on what you have heard and what you have seen. Reflect and understand. Clarify all the doubts which you have. Right? First you got to read it over and over again. Then you clear all the doubts. Just like in Sai Sat Charitra, when we read Sai Sat Charitra, each time when you read a chapter, you find a different story. Even it's the same story, but the messages are different. Same way with Ashtavakra Gita, is when you hear, you are hearing my version, there are so many other versions as well. But it is the same scripture which is being sung to everyone. But every version is different. It is the same food cooked by so many different cooks, same ingredients, but the taste is always different, right? Nothing is identical. Ashtavakra tells you to clarify, reflect on what you have learned. No matter how many times you try, it will never be the same, but you will learn something. And the last one, which is after you listen, after you take it in, reflecting and understanding it, you need to meditate on it. You need to sochana. Sochana means you need to meditate on it, assimilate on it, realize and make it a fact in your life. Sometimes it's very important for all of us. If you want to achieve something in life, which is all good, according to Ashtavakra Gita, if you want to buy a Lexus or BMW or Mercedes, fake it till you make it. It's all good. That's what Ashtavakra tells you. You fake it till who cares? It's only a fake anyway. But you will get it. Everything. You got to fake it till you make it. So what Ashtavakra is telling us over here, listen, take it in, reflect on it, understand the power of it, and start meditating on it. I, pure soul, living in this body is prana, in the prana is mind, in the mind is knowledge, and the knowledge is full of wisdom, and in that wisdom is my bliss. That's the power which we all have, right? Which we always need to reflect on. That's what. In Ashtavakra Gita, it doesn't allow you to sleep. In Bhagavad Gita or the other scriptures in the Katha, it will make you to sleep. But Ashtavakra will push you, hit you till the last moment, till you get a big, big bruise. That's what it is. It bruises you each time. And Ashtavakra is not only one session. Each slokas which when you hear, it bruises you. What it does? It gives you the pain, and at the same time it says it's alright. It happens to everyone. That's what Ashtavakra teaches. So, life is all about. In Ashtavakra Gita, it is a short treatise. It's a very small book. A very small book. Right? There are so many versions of it. It's a small book and it's only 20 chapters. But it's so intense, so powerful. What it is a small treatise which is all about Ashtavakra's beautiful talks. The text is an instruction of achieving self-realization. As I say, it is a dialogue between a jnani and the one who is seeking for jnana. It is a dialogue between King Janaka, who has everything in life, and the discussion by the one who has everything in his life, but yet he doesn't care. So it's about a king and a great yogi. So it is a discussion, a dialogue between them. Ashtavakra, the goal of every word in Ashtavakra Gita is a trigger for self-realization. Right? That is the goal of self-realization. Every one of us, you are sitting down here. What is your goal? What is your aim? In life, what is your aim? What do you want in life? Ask yourself. Everything is just perfect. If nothing comes, that's also good. If you want to buy 10 million houses, that's also great. If you want to be enlightened, that's also great. Because Ashtavakra says, everything is just perfect is how it is. It's quite shocking. Here he teaches us to all those things which is Maya, illusion, and on the other hand he teaches us it's all good. Then what it is? Why are we wasting our time? That is also good. That is also good. Everything is just perfect is how it is. As we go along further and further, so you don't go and start doing all sorts of nonsense outside and tell the whole world it is good. Guruji said it's good because Ashtavakra says it's good. You'll come back to me, then I'll see. I'll give you a punch. And I will tell you this is also good. So Ashtavakra teaches you all sorts of things, but at the end he tells you what is good and what is better. That's what all Ashtavakra does. Ashtavakra is the ancient spiritual document for great purity and power. That's what it is. It gives you so much of purity and so much of strength. That's what Ashtavakra Gita is all about. It gives you great purity and power. Right? It's about self-realization. Most of the time I tell every one of you, I ask you, or we say to others, take care of yourself, take care of yourself, take care of yourself. What is that yourself? The word yourself means you are self. Ashtavakra says that we are just a being living in this world, living in this body and enjoying every bit of life. We need to understand the power about yourself. Another thing which I say, which I can understand even better now, why we say this thing about Atma Sakshatkar, self-realization. If you see the Sanskrit word Atma Sakshatkar, Atma Sakshatkara means, if you break those words, you can break it into so many different ways. How I put it into the process, I say Atma. I always say Atma Sakshatkara means Atma Sakshatkara. Atma means soul, which is the generator. Sakshat means Sakshi, means the one who is the witness, the creator, the operator. Kara means the one who does all the action, which is the destroyer. So Atma Sakshat Kara means G-O-D, which is generator, operator and destroyer. What does G-O-D mean? God. So if you are a true Brahmagyani, and if you know the power behind Atma Sakshatkara, if you are a self-connected being and self-realized being, you are no different from G-O-D. Give only devotion. You need to understand the power of the word G-O-D. Generator, operator and the one who is the destroyer. That is the power of a Atma Sakshatkara being, in self-realized being. The power behind every one of us is God. Since we are sitting in a temple space, I can talk about God. No one can stop me, because everything is God, everything is great, everything is just perfect as how it is, because nothing is bad, everything is just great. So I always say Atma Sakshatkara means Atma is the witness of every doings which we do. I am the creator of my thoughts, I am the enjoyer of my thoughts, and at the same time I am the destroyer of my thoughts. That's what Atma Sakshat. So I always say, sometimes I say, I separate myself from myself to enjoy myself. I have separated myself into so many selves so that I can enjoy. If you smile back to me, I'm smiling back to you, because we are each other's mirror. Isn't that true? We say we are each other's, not by with your smile, but if I look into your eyes, I can see myself in your eyes. I separate myself from myself to enjoy myself. Our life is all about that. We are each other's reflection, the physical side of it. But when you come into the oneness, we are no different from each other. We are all the ultimate supreme. We are Sat, Chit, Ananda, truth, awareness and bliss. That's what Atma Sakshatkara means. We are all directors and we are playing as actors, and at the same time we are the producers. So this entire universe which we are living in, it's a big Kurukshetra. It is a big stage. Every one of us is playing a part in this earth. Isn't that true? Isn't that true? So if something bad happens to you, that's also a part which has been played. If something happens good into your life, that is also a part which has been played. If you are sitting down here and feeling bored, that is also the part which you are playing. If you want to get up and run away, that is also the part which you are playing. If somebody gives you a slap, that is also the part which we are playing. If somebody smiles and gives you a nice kiss, that is also a part which, who is there? If you are given a part, or you have created a part to play in your own drama, there is nothing bad. Ashtavakra teaches you everything is perfect as how it is. So we are all playing a part. We are the director, we are the operator, we are the actor, and at the same time we are the producers of our life. So our life is all about living the life to the fullest and enjoying every bit of life. Acha. Who is Ashtavakra? Right? I will tell a little bit story about Ashtavakra Gita. You must be hearing me. Ashtavakra, what is it he's talking about? Ashtavakra, what is Ashtavakra? So, Ashtavakra Gita is all about the meaning to know about reality, Supreme Brahman and the Maya and all those things. You must be thinking and might be bored by hearing the word Ashtavakra. As I say, I've written this, that's why I'm saying this. I had it in my memory. I need to continue reading it. What does this word Ashta means and what does Vakra mean? Ashta means 8. Vakra means crooked or bend or twisted. Right? Ashtavakra means 8. If you think about it, go to the philosophy of life. Every one of us, every human being has got 5 elements, plus you have got a mind, you've got an intellect, and you have got ego. We are not 1 but 8. 5 elements, as you know the 5 elements. We are mind, we are intellect, and at the same time we are the ego. Ashta means 8. Vakra means crooked. Our life, these 8 bodies which we are, our life is deformed. Our life is twisted if you are in duality. Our life is bent if we are in duality. Right? We are crooked all the time, thinking. Nothing is right. Nothing is good. We are always thinking, which is not very good. So Ashtavakra teaches us, even though he was crooked physically, but what he was talking, that everything is just perfect, is how I say. Ashtavakra teaches us the reality of life. Even though you are a handicap, it has nothing to do with the body. As long as you are enlightened and you know the power behind every creation, every reaction, everything in life is about oneness. There is nothing to do with body. You are a true Brahmagyani. You are a Gyani with lots and lots of wisdom. So it's nothing to do with the physical body. Who is Ashtavakra Gita? It has been said very little about Ashtavakra Gita. So how the story started about Ashtavakra Gita? How? Now, as I was saying, that in Ashtavakra Gita you only learn about jnana, about knowledge. But we got to listen to the katha. Why we are listening to this particular person's version? What is it? What he is telling us? How many of you know the story of Ashtavakra? How he was born? What was the reason for him? Why he was called Ashtavakra Gita? Would you like to hear the story about him? Because this is the introduction. If you are on the journey, you got to know the driver. You can't just sit on anyone's bus or anyone's aeroplane without knowing it is Qantas or Jet Airways. We got to know which airline we are traveling in. And who is going to take the flight. You need to know that. You can't be just sitting in Malaysian airline and lost somewhere else. You got to know that this flight will take me to the destination. Isn't that true? So this Ashtavakra Gita is telling us all about the airline which you are sitting in and who's the pilot. There is a co-pilot with Ashtavakra. There are 2 crooked people going to take you there. One is the master, the other one is the follower. 2 crippled men, 2 disabled person, 2 handicapped person taking you to reality. Trying to make you understand the power of reality. This is the life's journey and everything is just perfect as how it is. He was deformed in 8 directions. But this one, maybe he is deformed, but yet he is trying to understand the reality of what he actually gave it to him. Our life is, sometimes when I go around with people, they look at you and they laugh at you, especially children. You got to laugh at them because they are seeing something different, something unique. A person with 1 leg, wow, I've never seen this one. Instead of that kid is laughing at me, I'll start to cry and create a tantrum, you are an idiot. No matter how much you cry, you will never be able to get your leg back. Lots of people, they don't understand. The people who laugh or make fun of people who are handicapped, disabled, who are not in their mind, who are not perfect, the ones who actually laugh at the others, they are more handicapped than the one who is handicapped in reality. Why they are handicapped? Because this thing is not perfect. Thinking better. More, your intellectual handicap comes through here. So never make, a true Brahmagyani will never make fun of any great beings. They will accept it as how it is. So Ashtavakra, that's why this motivated me to teach about Ashtavakra Gita, because life is not going to end just like that, feeling yourself pity. It's feeling yourself, oh, poor me, poor me, poor me. No. You should be greater me, greater me, greater me. All the time, tell yourself that I am perfect as how I am. This is what Ashtavakra teaches you, the great pilot of life. So who was Ashtavakra? Ashtavakra was, it has been said that this epic Mahabharata, if you heard about Mahabharata, one of the great epics, right? Mahabharata talks about war. There were 5 Pandavas and 100 Kauravas. I won't go detailed into that, but what I'm saying, Pandavas and Kauravas, they were in that time of Mahabharata. Kauravas, they finished their life, they gone to heaven, whichever place they went, it's great. Pandavas, they were still on this earth, and they traveled on each and every part of the world. In those days, the world was, now it is called India, but those days the world was everywhere. Everything was Bharata, Sanatan. Sanatan means, Bharata means everything was Sanatan, in truth. So when Pandavas, they were about to leave their physical body, they went and did so much pilgrimage all around the world. If you've been to India, there are so many pilgrimage places in India where the story comes that the Pandavas has been here. The Pandavas did the well. The Pandavas planted the tree. The Pandavas were praying to this Hanuman Murti in Gujarat. When we went to the Jan Hanuman. That's where Pandavas came and did their tapasya. You know, great Mahatmas, great beings. When we go to Badrinath, Kedarnath, all the other places in the Himalayas, it was been said that the Pandavas met and went to those places in the world, or in those parts of the India. So Pandavas were doing that tapasya. Arjuna, who was the great Mahatma, great being of Bhagavad Gita, he went to Paraloka. But some of them, the Pandavas, were just roaming around. As I said, the seekers are the one who walks and walks and walks with their intellect. So they were moving. The Pandavas were just looking and searching and looking and searching. So they ended up into this ashram. Beautiful ashram. You know what is ashram? It's a place where all the pilgrims go. So they went to this pilgrimage place, and they went to this particular ashram, which was the ashram of a sage called Lomesh. Right? When they walked into that ashram, they felt so good. You know, sometimes when you come into this property, how do you feel? So peaceful. No? That's why you come back over and over again, because you can see the peace within here. This is like a place of worship. Place of worship is always serene, soft, so much of great feeling. That's why these Pandavas, they went to this ashram of Lomesh, and they found it was very peaceful and the vibration was very, very great. So they went inside and they asked the sage who was looking after the ashram, why this place is so peaceful. So the sage Lomesh, he actually explained and tell the story of that particular ashram. He said that this ashram is the ashram of a great sage whose name was Uddalak Rishi. Right? He stayed there in this ashram for thousands and thousands of years. Thousands of years could be anything. But I'm telling you the story where Ashtavakra is not about Katha, but we need to know the Katha of the story of Ashtavakra. Then only we will enjoy the purpose why we are listening this Katha. You need to know it. Because everything is just perfect. Now here there is no timing. Okay? There is no timing. When you want to know the purpose behind Atma Gyan, there is no time. Because everything is just perfect. Okay, so what happened? He told a story about Uddalak Rishi, and he said that there was a great Brahmagyani. Brahmagyani is the one who the knower of the self, and his name was Uddalak Rishi, and he has been doing tapasya, means doing so much of penance over here on this particular part of India, where he had been so intense, devoted to the nature, and so devoted to this place that this place has been sanctified with so much of power. He had 2 children, and one of the children, one of the child's name was Swetaketu, and the other child's name was Sujata. 2 children. One was a boy, one was a girl. The boy was very young. He was 2 years old, and the daughter was 20 years old. There was 18 years difference. He had 2 children. The son was 2 years old, and the daughter was 20 years old. In that ashram, what he had so many other sages as well, so many pandits and old yogis and everyone doing tapasya. There was a person who was very, very much devoted, and he was a pandit, a learned being, whose name was Kahor. Right? He was one of his disciples, and he really looked after Uddalak Rishi. So he had so much of devotion, that particular Kahor, this person's name Kahor. He was so dedicated and so devoted. All what he was learning is mantras, shlokas, chanting. All the time he was learning. He was a great pandit. Right? You know what is pandit? Pandits are the people who are reading and doing lots and lots of puja. If you come to this temple, there is so many pandits here. So many pandits were here, and they were devoted to this particular rishi. And the rishi was so happy with his pandit, means his devotee. He was very pious. He said that this person would be very good for my daughter. So he allowed his daughter to get married to one of his disciples, which is Kahor. Right? So Kahor and his daughter Sujata, they got married, and they started staying in the ashram. Even though that was not a great ashram, but they managed. They were both devoted to the father. So as time passed, within few months or few 6-7 months later, what happened? Kahor's wife Sujata, Uddalak Rishi's daughter, she got pregnant. And she was pregnant with this beautiful baby in the tummy. Uddalak Rishi, because he was such a great learned being, he always wanted this Kahor never to lose his devotion. Kahor, the son-in-law, keep on learning, keep on practicing, keep on learning, keep on practicing. What happened? All the vibrations which he was producing by learning and chanting the mantra was going into the tummy of the Sujata, and the vibration was going into the baby. This is those time, long time ago, right? So Kahor Rishi keep on chanting. The baby was developing in the mother's womb. As he was developing, Kahor Rishi used to get so tired at sometimes. But he never stops chanting, because he was such a dedicated devotee of God. So he kept on chanting. One day he was very tired, and what happened? Instead of chanting the right way, he made some mistakes. He made one mistake. He made second mistake with his chanting, with the shlokas. Third mistake he made. Fourth mistake it made. When he made the fourth mistake, and the fifth one, and the sixth one, and the seventh one, when he was going to make the eighth one, the baby in the tummy started to move around. He started to move. He just didn't like what his father was chanting because it was all wrong what he was chanting. So out of his tummy he spoke. Those days. This is long time. Every time you can hear, as I say, Akash Vani, when God used to talk from the heavens. Nowadays God talks from inside. Ashtavakra teaches you the same God outside and talks to you from inside. So the baby which was in the tummy, he said to the father, my father, you have done mistake. 8 times you have chanted something which is wrong, which is not good. You think you are a great Pandit, but you are very tired and you are chanting the mantras which is not the right pronunciation. Kahod Rishi, the father, he was thinking, this child who is not even out of the mother's tummy, he is telling me and humiliating me, telling me that I don't chant properly. He is picking on my words which I have spoken. How does he know? So he started to get angry. And you know, Pandits, when you pick their mistakes, they get more agitated. You know, India? Not here, not in Brisbane, not in Sai Baba temple. He was so angry because Pandits are always perfect. They call themselves they are perfect. He was so angry. This child of mine who is not even born, he is telling me I am making mistakes. What happened? He got so angry, and because he was so tired, he gave a very bad curse to that child which was not even born. And he said, because you have picked on me and you say that I have made mistake 8 times, I curse you. When you are born, you will be born deformed 8 places. Or when you are angry, you say all sorts of nonsense. No? That's why it's very important when somebody pushes your buttons, you save your button and run away. Don't let it be pushed more. Just be calm. Ashtavakra will teach you. And Ashtavakra also said, it is all perfect. So what happened? The child was still in the tummy. He was still growing. It wasn't the time when he was to be born. The baby was still growing. Ashtavakra's father, Kahod, he said that. And he forgot about it. And that's how it is. You know, when somebody, so ignorant people, when they give you some sort of curse or some negative comments about you, they don't care. As long as it's out of their system, they don't care how it feels for that one, nothing. They don't care. But he didn't care. He said, that's fine, whatever. He's my child anyway. He's my son. But he didn't realize what sort of son I will get. He didn't know that. Because it's verbally he said. So it is very important when anyone is pregnant, you need to take the child to the right vibrations. You know, it has been said that those days it was very, very powerful. So he was, as he went, so one day what happened, just before the baby was born, because they were living in an ashram and they were quite poor, Sujata, Kahod's wife, she said to this Kahod, why don't you go, in Mithila there is a king called Raja Janak. You know, Janaka, Sita's father, he is actually having a big gathering of all these Brahmins and Pandits. Why don't you go there, and whoever go and defeats all the Brahmins over there and go into the challenges and wins, they get so much of gold and silver which is engraved in the horns of the bull. If anyone wins with the other Pandits or Brahmins, when they win the slokas, the chanting and all those things, they get gifted by King Janaka, and they can bring it home and they can become rich. Why don't you go for it? Kahod was a very learned Brahmin or priest he was. So he went to King Janaka's palace in Mithila. When he went there, in King Janaka's palace, there was another sage or another Pandit who came, whose name was Bandi, not Bandi, Bandi, his name was Bandi. He came from nowhere and he was the one who organized this satsang, and he was the one who was in the king's palace, and all the time what he used to do, he challenges all these priests, right? All these pandits. So he had all these pandits sitting there and they chanting, and whoever wins, they get the gift. Who loses, they have to do suicide, right? They have to go and dip themselves into the river. Suicide means jal samadhi, right? You have to take samadhi in the. If you lose, you have to take jal samadhi. So Kahor went there thinking he was a great Mahatma. He will have a challenge with him and he will win. Anyway, he lost. So Kahor Rishi, he lost his battle with this particular priest, and he had to suicide himself. He had to go into the water, jal samadhi. He had to take it. So he was gone. The message of Kahor was taken to the ashram. So Dalak Rishi, Sujata his wife, and his the son Shvetaketu were there. They heard about this has happened. Sujata was still pregnant, and after a few months she gave birth to this child, which was none other than Ashtavakra. Why they called him Ashtavakra? Because he was a bit crooked. One of the reasons why they called him that, because that was the curse, so in remembrance of him they gave him that name. What happened here, the Udalak Rishi, he didn't wanted Ashtavakra to daughter Sujata that you tell your son that I am his father. So the grandfather told the daughter that tell him that I am his father, and his brother is Swetaketu, which is the brother of Sujata, Ashtavakra's mother's brother, which was a little boy, which was 2 years old, and which was 20 years old. As the time passed, he was a bit older, and Swetaketu was the brother of Ashtavakra. Sujata was the mother, the original mother, but the grandfather tended to be the father of Ashtavakra. So time passed, and the kids were growing together. They were like brothers. You know what happens when you have a younger brother and the sister's son is born, or they are growing up together. So 12 and 2 years difference. So as time passed, they were growing, and they were growing like brothers. One day they were playing in the garden, or they were playing in the field. So what happened? Ashtavakra and Swetaketu, means the two brothers, as they were playing, they were running, playing this game of running. So as they were running, whoever wins, they get a gift in those days, right? So Ashtavakra, he started running, and Swetaketu also started running. So they were running behind each other. Ashtavakra ran so fast that he went and sat on the lap of the father. And he told Swetaketu, look at me, I won, I'm sitting on my father's lap. Swetaketu, he actually said to Ashtavakra, what are you talking about? Out of anger or whatever, what are you talking about? He is not your father, he is your grandfather. And Ashtavakra thought, wow, I've been told that he is my father all this time, and now my brother is telling me he is not my father, he is my grandfather. He looked at Udalak Rishi and asked him, what is he talking about? A 12-year-old inquiring about it. What is he talking about? So the grandfather said, I have to tell you now, because since you have come to that age, your father was Kahor. He was, the whole story he related to him. And then he said, you have been cursed by this reason and this and reason, because he was such a learned being and this and that. So the whole story was related to Ashtavakra. Now Ashtavakra is thinking, you are my nana, he is my mama, she is my mother. I need to know more about myself. Why did my father left his body? So he heard the story that there was a king and there was this learned priest who is actually giving so many challenges. So somehow or the other, because he was a bit handicapped, somehow the other, people, they make their ways. So on the way, he went to this King Janaka's palace in Mithila. When he arrived there, lots and lots of Brahmins and Pandits were sitting down, Gyanis, knowledgeable beings. They're calling themselves as very great learned beings. So they were sitting down and chanting the mantras and learning and singing and all those things. And that Bandi was there as well. So Ashtavakra went into the palace, and King Janaka, who was a king, he was sitting there, and they're all looking at this handicapped boy coming inside. When they saw him, why is this boy here making judgments, right? Ashtavakra, being a true Brahmagyani, he said to Janaka, "O king, I have come here to challenge with this Bandi who's being challenging with all the other priests and making them lose and losing their life in the river. I have come here to challenge with this Bandi, this being who tells himself he is a great learned priest and Pandit. I want to challenge him. Before I start challenging him, Janaka, what you do, you take all the bulls and cows, deliver it to the ashram of my grandfather." Ashtavakra started saying all these things. What happened? All the Pandits, they were so shocked. But what they were doing, they started looking at each other and started to laugh at him. So everyone started laughing. Everyone making so much of judgment towards this young 12-year-old boy and started laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing at him. Janaka, who was listening to all those priests, he also started laughing. Ashtavakra was really enjoying. When he was in the company of laughter, he started laughing as well. So he started laughing. With all those Pandits, he started laughing as well. Janaka, he got confused. Why is this boy, they are making fun of him? And look at him, he's laughing with all these priests who are sitting down here, and he's laughing as well. So he is laughing. What is the point? Doesn't he feel humiliated in front of everyone? So he went to and spoke to Ashtavakra. My boy, that time he was just a boy. He said to him, my boy, all these Pandits who are sitting down here, they're making fun of you. They are laughing at you. They are making so much of humiliating comments about you, and you are laughing with them. What sort of being you are, man? Ashtavakra looked at his Janaka. And he said to Janaka, the king, he said, why am I laughing at these people? Because there is a reason for it. All what they are laughing at me, they are laughing at my skin. They are not laughing at me. They are all these Gyanis and Pandits, they call themselves. They are laughing at me because they are seeing me and judging my skin or my body. How can all these priests call themselves as Gyanis? All they talk about is about Atma, self-realization, enlightenment, all what these Pandits are talking about. But they are laughing at the skin of another person. They are not Brahmagyanis. They are just ignorant beings. Chi on these people who call themselves as Pandits. वो हमारे चमड़े को देख करके हंस रहे हैं. तो ये पंडित नहीं है कोई. They are all chamars. जो चमड़े देख के हंसता है ना, वो पंडित नहीं होते हैं, वो असली चमार होते हैं. This is what Ashtavakra said to Raja Janaka. He said, the one who sees the skin, they are not Pandits, they are not Brahmins. They are the ones who are seeing the skin and making fun of them. They are all idiots. That's why I started laughing with them, because a true Jnani always enjoys what the others want them to be enjoyed with. So sometimes if you think about it, when people make fun of you, you join with them. Let them enjoy. You are creating a service for them as well at the same time. What a great seva. You will get liberation anytime. A quality of a Jnani is that they laugh with the idiots, and what they do, they reflect each other. So what happened? This Bandi, he started to challenge. He said, okay, sit down. Let's start. Since you are a great Jnani, he said to Ashtavakra, let's start competing with each other. So they started the challenge, and the competition or the challenge started between the Bandi and Ashtavakra Gita. As they started speaking and chanting and challenging with each other, Bandi became so tired. You know how many years of challenges he had with all the Pandits. Finally, he found someone who he even can challenge better. So he challenged with him. It went for 3 days, these challenges. After third day, Bandi, he got so tired that he lost the battle. Now who has to get into the water? Jal Samadhi. Who has to take a suicide? Bandi. Ashtavakra won the battle. So Bandi had to go and take Jal Samadhi. Now what is the real story behind it? Why did Bandi came? Bandi said, it has been said that Bandi was the son of god Varuna. Varuna means the power of water. No? He was the son of Varuna. And he came onto this earth because his father, Varuna means the water god. He had this yagna in his abode. And he wanted so many Pandits to come and join in and finish off that yagna in that sphere. Right? That's why he took a birth, or took an incarnation onto this earth to go into King Janaka's palace, so that King Janaka's palace, so much of Pandits were there. When he challenges with them, so many Pandits will lose, and they will go and take Jal Samadhi, and they go to the abode of his father Varuna and complete his yagna. That is the reason why he took that birth, to come into Janaka's palace. So, God of water, he came into the earth out of nowhere with the mission of sending all the Pandits to his father's abode as they were needed to perform the puja. So this whole drama was a creation of his mission of Ashtavakra Gita. So sometimes we have to think about it like that as well. Everything which is happening in our life, there is a written script about our life, why we have created this journey. Everything happens for a good reason. And Ashtavakra always says, there are so many people say to us as well, everything is just perfect, is how they say. Don't worry about it. Everything is just wonderful. So that time it happened. Everyone here, sitting over here, is just like a Pandit. Learned beings. Right? A Jnani, a Sannyasi. Every one of us. So Ashtavakra, what he did, when he gave the knowledge to that Bandi, Bandi got liberated because he was the last person who actually helped his father Varuna up in that sphere to finish off his father's journey. So when Ashtavakra gave the knowledge to Bandi, what happened? He left his physical body, he went to the abode of the father, and as he was leaving to the abode of the father, he gave a boon to Ashtavakra, and he said, if you give this Atma Gyan, Brahma Gyan, Prema Gyan, self-knowledge, self-realization to all the seekers on this earth, by listening to your knowledge, every being will get liberated. Liberated from all sorts of worries and tension, and accept life as how it is. King Janaka was the first person who got liberated from the message of Ashtavakra Gita. He was the first king who got liberated. And how he got liberated, why he got liberated, what was the reason for him to get liberated through Ashtavakra Gita, we will talk about that in the next session. We will start the whole Ashtavakra shlokas from next week, and it will teach us how to be self-realized, enlightened, and be free from all sorts of life which we are going through, free from all sorts of tension and worries in life. Okay? Is it good?
Yes.
Yeah. So Janaka was the one. He had a dream. He was a great king. He had so much, because he was a king. But he never had any peace of mind. Even though so many pandits were there, so many pandits giving him so much of mantras and chanting and puja and all sorts of things, but no peace. As I say, we have sense of loneliness, sense of incompleteness, sense of fear. These are the qualities which Janaka had. The king, even though he had so much. So one day he had a dream. He had a dream that what happened, all his palace was finished. Nothing was left. All what he was doing in his dream was cooking a pot of khichdi, pudding, or khichdi, what do you call that? Rice dish. All what he was cooking. He was so hungry in his dream, King Janaka. So hungry. And you know what happens when you are hungry in the dream? When you wake up, you sometimes still feel hungry. Huh? So King Janaka, all his palace was gone. The pot of rice was being cooked and keep on going as he was cooking. As the time goes, he was so hungry. But what happened, unfortunately, before the rice was totally cooked and hunger was being served to him, the food was served to him, he came out of the dream. And he was still hungry in his waking state. That's where he started inquiring. If I was hungry in my dream and I'm still hungry in my waking state, what is the difference? Here I am hungry when I'm awake. In the dream I'm hungry, I'm awake. What is it? All this is which is happening. That's where Janaka's inquiry started. And he went to all these pandits. Please explain to me. Please explain to me. Why am I hungry in my dream? Why am I hungry in my waking state? Please explain to me. All what the pandit were doing, just giving him some sort of remedy. Chant this mantra, chant this Ganesh mantra, chant this this mantra to Ma, chant this mantra to this goddess, chant this mantra to this Shiva, do some Abhishekam. Ashtavakra, they didn't talk about it. Janaka, all this lifetime I've been doing this, chanting, and these pandits have been telling me to chant, do devotion, and now they are still telling me to do that. They're still telling me to do that. Do you think that those things which they are telling me will fulfill what I am wanting for, what I am asking for? The pandits, they surrendered. He said, King, Raja Janak, we are only learned beings who only knows how to chant. We have no understanding of Atma. We have no understanding of the self. The only being who understands about the self and who is a true Brahmagyani, who came and visited this palace and challenged with us, was Ashtavakra. Please, King, let us go and leave this kingdom of yours and let you invite Ashtavakra and make him sit on your throne over here and give you Atma Gyan. So Janaka was the one who was the seeker. Every one of us sitting down here, we are all seeking for truth. That's why you are sitting down here. Isn't that true? Are you seeking for truth? From next week, we will question Ashtavakra same way how Janaka questioned him, and we will get all the answers. And that's how we will start and take a break in the heavens and keep on flying. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Para Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Atma Satyam, Soul Truth. I, pure soul, living in this body, in this body's prana, and the prana is mind, and the mind is knowledge, and the knowledge is ananda. मैं पुण्य आत्मा इस शरीर में रहता हूँ, शरीर में प्राण है, प्राण में मन है, मन में ज्ञान है, ज्ञान में आनंद है। मैं सत चित आनंद स्वरूप हूँ। I am truth,